America has long stood at the center of a vast web of alliances, shaping the world order as we know it. But today, that web is starting to fray. Quiet tensions, sudden policy shifts, and new partners on the horizon. What's really driving these dramatic changes? Stay tuned as we unpack the hidden stories behind America's shifting global alliances and what it means for the future of U.S. power. Alliances have helped keep peace, foster trade, and solve global problems together. But now, many of these bonds are shifting. Some countries are stepping back from the United States quietly, while others are being more open about it. These changes aren't just small arguments. They're signs that the world around us is changing fast. Number 10. Canada, a trusted neighbor looking elsewhere. Canada and the United States have always had one of the closest partnerships in the world. They share a long border, they trade huge amounts of goods, and they've often stood side by side during crises. But today, cracks are starting to show. Trade negotiations have become tense and unpredictable. Talks about defense cooperation don't always end with clear agreements. Canadian officials often leave meetings with Washington more confused than before. Why is this happening? Canada is tired of America's changing policies. One year, there are new tariffs and trade barriers. The next, they're lifted. Promises made by one U.S. president are canceled by the next. For Canadian businesses and policymakers, this roller coaster of policies has made America feel like an unreliable partner. Nearly 3/4 of Canada's exports still go to the United States. But Canadian leaders are also looking for new options. They're building trade ties with Europe, Asia, and even smaller regional markets that seem more stable. This isn't just about money. If Canada starts drifting away, it also means America's influence in North America could weaken. Number 9. Portugal, a small ally with big questions. Portugal doesn't always grab headlines when we talk about American alliances, but this small European country has been a loyal partner in NATO and a key link between continents. Today, Portugal is rethinking that role. Lisbon's leaders see American climate goals, trade policies, and defense spending as often out of step with their own plans. Rather than waiting for Washington to change, Portugal is moving ahead on its own terms. It's forging stronger economic ties with China, a move that could bring in new investments. It's also focusing on European defense programs that don't include the United States. These may seem like quiet changes, but they send a clear message. Portugal wants to stand on its own 2 feet. Number 8. United Kingdom, the special relationship under pressure. For years, the bond between America and Britain has been described as a special relationship. They share a language, a history, and have fought alongside each other in countless conflicts. But lately, British leaders are getting nervous. American policy can change in the blink of an eye. One day, Washington is fully committed to NATO. The next, it's threatening trade penalties or talking about leaving alliances altogether. This has forced Britain to be more cautious. Intelligence sharing with the US isn't as automatic as it used to be. After Brexit, many hoped a major US-UK trade deal would happen quickly, but that's still stuck in limbo. In 2024, the UK made a striking decision. It joined a European-led military program without even inviting America. That was a clear sign that London is keeping its options open. Public opinion in Britain is shifting too. Polls show more people view America as a partner that can't always be counted on. Number 7. Germany, a calculated change in strategy. Germany has been one of America's most important allies since World War II ended. Together, they rebuilt Europe and made NATO strong. But today, Germany is frustrated. Berlin sees American policies as unpredictable. Troops moved in and out without warning, new tariffs that hurt allies, and shifting stands on big global issues. Germany isn't just complaining, it's acting. It's teaming up with France and Spain on defense projects that don't involve American companies. It's boosting its military spending, but putting the money into European programs rather than buying more US weapons. Even NATO itself is being talked about in German politics in a new way. At the same time, Germany is buying more energy from Russia and forging deeper ties with China. This isn't about anger. It's about planning for a world where America's leadership can't be taken for granted. Number 6. France. Leading the push for European independence. France has always had a complicated friendship with the US. They've worked together often, but they've also disagreed, sometimes very publicly. Right now, France is taking the lead in calling for Europe to stand on its own. President Emmanuel Macron says Europe should control its own future, militarily, economically, and politically. France is putting real money behind this. It's investing in European defense projects that don't rely on America. It's working with African and Asian countries to build new trade ties, and it's not afraid to go against US policies, even if that means standing alone. For example, France has pushed back against American sanctions that hurt European companies. It's made its own deals in places like Africa and the Middle East, even when Washington says no. Many French citizens support this approach. They see the US as an unpredictable force, not the stable partner it used to be. Number 5. Poland, a loyal ally seeking new options. So Poland has long relied on American military support, especially with Russia right next door. It's hosted US troops, bought American weapons, and often echoed Washington's positions. But even Poland is starting to worry. Promises of help from Washington sometimes don't last. One president sends in more troops, and then the next talks about pulling them out. This is more than just an inconvenience for Poland. It's a real security risk. So Poland is hedging its bets. It's buying tanks and artillery from South Korea and investing in its own arms industry, so it doesn't have to rely only on American weapons. Polish leaders are also starting to talk more with European allies about joint defense projects. At home, climate and social issues have created some tensions with Washington too. Public trust in America is still high in Poland, but it's not as solid as before. Number 4. Japan, a trusted ally building a wider network. For over 70 years, Japan and America have been quite close. They've shared military bases and shaped the rules of global trade together. But Japan is seeing that American policies can shift suddenly, sometimes promising more support, other times questioning whether the US should be involved at all. So Japan's answer? Build a stronger network of friends. It's working closely with Australia and India, and signing defense deals with countries in Southeast Asia. These new ties aren't meant to replace America, but they do make Japan less dependent on it. In 2024, Japan announced its biggest defense budget ever. But instead of buying only American weapons, Japan is putting money into its own military technology and teaming up with Asian partners. And trade is changing too. Japan is signing deals across Asia and even with Europe that don't always match US plans. Number 3. South Korea, a rising power testing its independence. South Korea has grown into a powerhouse in technology and culture. For decades, it's counted on American support to keep it safe, especially with North Korea nearby. But South Korea is starting to question that trust. American policies can change fast, one day promising help, the next day talking about cutting it off. South Korea's leaders don't want to be caught off guard. They're investing in their own military tech, talking more with Japan and Australia, and even keeping quiet lines of communication open with China. Younger South Koreans are leading this change. Many of them don't see America as the only answer anymore. They want a South Korea that's strong on its own, not stuck in someone else's fight. In a world split between the US and China, South Korea sees a chance to stand apart, and it's getting ready to do just that. Number 2, Saudi Arabia, a new vision for the future. For decades, the US-Saudi partnership was simple. America protected the kingdom, and the kingdom kept the oil flowing. But that old deal is falling apart. Saudi Arabia is buying weapons from China. It's making energy deals with India. It's even working with countries that Washington sees as rivals, like Russia and Iran. When the US asked Saudi Arabia to pump more oil to lower prices, the kingdom refused. It cut production instead, sending a clear message. Saudi Arabia wants to set its own path. The kingdom's vision, 2030 plan, is all about building a future that isn't tied to just one partner. Saudi leaders are making it clear that America will be just one player in their future plans, not the center of it. Number 1, Mexico, a neighbor finding its own path. Mexico has been one of America's closest economic and security partners for a long time, but that relationship is facing some serious tests. Mexico is reaching out to new partners. It's trading more with China and building new ties across Latin America. It's also pushing for more energy independence, so it doesn't have to rely as much on the US inside Mexico. The government is focusing on national industries and putting Mexican workers and companies first. This has led to some big clashes with Washington, especially on trade and border policies. Mexico isn't cutting off the United States, but it's making sure it has other options. If that trend keeps growing, it will reshape the whole dynamic between these two neighbors. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel by clicking the bell icon next to it. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.